Nathaniel Blackwood, the scion of Emerald City's elite circles, whose ancestors built their fortune on illicit treasure hunting. Due to their ancestors violating a sacred taboo during their tomb raiding, every man in the Blackwood family/estate was cursed to not live past their 25th birthday. The only way to break this curse was to marry a woman with a unique spiritual resonance. In my previous life, my adopted sister, Tiffany Hayes, secretly put on my wedding dress, intending to take my place and marry Nathaniel Blackwood. I rushed to the wedding to stop her. Tiffany Hayes thus became the laughingstock of Emerald City's elite circles, and in a moment of impulse, cut her wrists to commit suicide. Mr. and Mrs. Hayes cursed me, calling me a menace, and severed all ties with me. Nathaniel Blackwood also came to hate me because of this. On Tiffany Hayes' death anniversary, he locked me in her room and set it ablaze. What unique spiritual resonance. I see you're just after the Blackwood family/estate's wealth and prestige. Do you know Tiffany was carrying my child? You killed her. I want you to atone for their deaths. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day of the wedding. This time, I would deliver a grand wedding gift to Tiffany Hayes and Nathaniel Blackwood. I strode confidently into the grand ballroom, swinging my bag. The newlyweds on stage had already exchanged rings. Nearby guests looked up and saw me, first freezing in surprise, then exclaiming in shock. Aurora Hayes, what are you doing here? What's going on? Isn't this Aurora Hayes' and Nathaniel Blackwood's wedding? If she's here, then who's the bride on stage? Instantly, all eyes turned to me, especially those of the Blackwood family/estate sitting in the front row. Arthur Blackwood was the first to stand up, his face terribly grim. What is the meaning of this? The one meant to marry into our Blackwood family/estate was clearly Aurora Hayes. Who exactly is the bride on stage right now? Eleanor Blackwood walked straight onto the stage and yanked off the bridal veil covering the bride's head. The crowd below instantly gasped. Isn't that the Hayes residence/family's adopted daughter? Oh dear, what kind of trick is the Hayes residence/family playing? Is this bride substitution? But isn't Aurora Hayes the only one with a unique spiritual resonance? It's useless for Tiffany Hayes to marry in. Tiffany Hayes on stage looked utterly bewildered. Nathaniel Blackwood squeezed her hand, giving her a comforting look. He walked over to Arthur Blackwood and Eleanor Blackwood and knelt down. Mr. and Mrs. Hayes, Tiffany is the woman I love. I won't marry anyone but her. I don't believe in the so-called curse of not living past their 25th birthday at all. For all these years, every man in our family has clearly lived to a ripe old age. Arthur Blackwood, enraged, slammed his cane onto the ground. Nathaniel Blackwood, do you have any idea that your uncles have lived so long precisely because they married women with a unique spiritual resonance? Tomorrow is your 25th birthday. Stop acting foolishly. Eleanor Blackwood's eyes reddened with anxiety. Nathaniel, we truly haven't lied to you. Mom also has a unique spiritual resonance, which is why she was able to marry your father. Born into the Blackwood family/estate, you are destined to never choose love in this life. Nathaniel Blackwood stubbornly remained kneeling on the ground, refusing to get up. Rather than marry a woman I don't love and live this life like a walking corpse, I'd rather die early. I watched Nathaniel Blackwood impassively, a realization dawning on me. Nathaniel Blackwood had also been reborn. In this life, he had made the same choice as me, he would absolutely not marry the other person. Seeing that Nathaniel Blackwood wouldn't listen to reason, Arthur Blackwood turned his anger towards me. Aurora Hayes, so you never intended to marry into the Blackwood family/estate from the start? You sent an adopted daughter to deceive us? You, the Hayes residence/family, have some nerve. If you don't give us a proper explanation today, don't even think about the Hayes residence/family surviving in Emerald City's elite circles anymore. Mom stepped forward, grabbing my arm, and with a forced smile, pushed me towards the Blackwood family/estate. Aurora, I know you're not happy with the arranged marriage, and you deliberately tricked your sister into taking your place. Why don't you hurry up and apologize profusely to Arthur Blackwood and Eleanor Blackwood? Hearing Mom's words, I scoffed inwardly. In my previous life, I had rushed onto the stage and wrestled with Tiffany Hayes, giving Mom no opportunity to shift the blame for the bride substitution onto me. Only now did I realize that Tiffany Hayes dared to do this because she also had the support of Mr. and Mrs. Hayes. No wonder Mr. and Mrs. Hayes suddenly demanded I have a traditional wedding ceremony, insisting I keep my face covered with a bridal veil the entire time. Their favoritism towards Tiffany Hayes was simply because I had only returned to the Hayes residence/family 2 years ago. Tiffany Hayes was their true daughter in their hearts. Ultimately, blood ties couldn't outweigh the bond forged over 20 years of raising her. Tiffany Hayes and Mom exchanged a glance. Tiffany immediately went to Nathaniel Blackwood's side and knelt with him. Uncle and Auntie, Nathaniel and I are truly in love. My sister doesn't like Nathaniel, but I'm willing to take her place and marry into the Blackwood family/estate to be Nathaniel's wife. Before she could finish, Eleanor Blackwood snapped back immediately. Take whose place? You don't have a unique spiritual resonance. Marrying you would only harm Nathaniel. Besides, you're merely a country bumpkin adopted by the Hayes residence/family. With your background, you think you're worthy of being Nathaniel's wife? Seeing Tiffany Hayes's eyes redden with grievance, Nathaniel Blackwood's heart ached terribly. Mom, what era are we in now? You're still clinging to outdated superstitions. He helped Tiffany Hayes up and glared at me furiously. Aurora Hayes, your unique spiritual resonance is just a deceptive trick. You must have bribed that charlatan, which is why he's playing along with your act. Even if you're causing a scene at the wedding right now, I still won't agree to marry you. My wife can only be Tiffany. Tiffany Hayes wiped away the tears from her eyes and cowered fearfully into Nathaniel Blackwood's embrace. Sister, you were the one who said you'd bless Nathaniel and me, which is why I took your place. What do you mean by coming here and causing a scene now? They had clearly conspired to harm me, yet now they were slandering me with all the blame. I smiled, raised my phone, and opened the text message. Tiffany Hayes, and Mr. and Mrs. Hayes, you specifically texted me yesterday saying the wedding time had been changed to the evening. So why did the wedding proceed as usual? In my previous life, if I hadn't accidentally seen a wedding limousine photo taken by a passerby online, the wedding would have likely been over by the time I found out. The photographer deliberately aimed the camera at my phone, and the message content was magnified on the stage screen. The guests below immediately began to murmur amongst themselves. We heard before that the Hayes residence/family favored Tiffany Hayes. It seems it was all true. So many daughters of prominent families want to marry into Nathaniel Blackwood's family. Mrs. Hayes cherishes Tiffany Hayes so much, she'd certainly do everything in her power to satisfy her. Poor Aurora Hayes, left to fend for herself outside the family for so many years, returning only to be unloved by her parents. Dad, who had been silent, suddenly flushed red with anger. Stop talking nonsense. What favoritism? Aurora Hayes simply didn't want to marry, so she begged Tiffany to take her place and marry Nathaniel. Fortunately, Nathaniel also has feelings for Tiffany, otherwise it would have been hard on them. I scoffed. When did I ever say I didn't want to marry him? I'm here now precisely because I want to marry Nathaniel Blackwood, aren't I? No sooner had I spoken than Dad raised his hand and delivered a stinging slap across my face. Aurora Hayes, what are you acting foolishly about? Running away from your wedding is one thing, but then you accuse us with fake text messages, cause this whole scene, and now you say you want to marry? Do you really think the Blackwood and Hayes family's alliance is a joke? Nathaniel and Tiffany's wedding ceremony is already over. This doesn't concern you anymore. I wiped away the blood from the corner of my mouth. I don't mind having another wedding, as long as I am the one Mr. Blackwood truly wishes to marry. Hearing that I was willing to marry Nathaniel Blackwood, Eleanor Blackwood immediately chimed in. Aurora, our Blackwood family/estate only recognizes you as our daughter-in-law. This wedding doesn't count. We'll hold another one tonight, and this time there definitely won't be any mistakes. Tiffany Hayes instantly panicked, casting a pleading look at Mom. Mom blocked the Blackwood family/estate members who were about to leave. Since it's come to this, I won't hide it from everyone anymore. The truth is, we didn't want Aurora Hayes to marry into the Blackwood family/estate because she's promiscuous. Aurora Hayes has been engaging in illicit affairs with all sorts of unsavory men for years. She's contracted a shameful illness that can't be cured. People nearby immediately distanced themselves from me, as if terrified of contracting a shameful illness from me. A faint smile touched my lips. I took a stack of photos from my bag and placed them before everyone, deliberately displaying them one by one. Mom, are these the men you're talking about? The photos showed Tiffany Hayes in various intimate poses with different men. I had purchased all of these with a hefty sum. In my previous life, Tiffany Hayes didn't commit suicide because of me at all. Her own promiscuous lifestyle led to someone taking photos to blackmail her, and in her fear, she cut her wrists. At the time, to preserve her reputation after death, I paid off those scoundrels. I never expected Tiffany Hayes to write a suicide note in advance just to frame me. If only my sister hadn't come to ruin our wedding, wouldn't I have been your wife already? Wouldn't our family of 3 be living happily together? I hope I can meet you again in the next life, Nathaniel. My baby and I are going to another world first. Because of the suicide note, Nathaniel Blackwood blamed me for Tiffany Hayes' death and set me on fire, burning me alive. This time, I'd see if Nathaniel Blackwood could survive past 25 without my unique spiritual resonance. The next second, Tiffany Hayes rushed over frantically and snatched the photos from my hand. Don't look! These photos are fake. They're all doctored. She tore the photos into shreds like a madwoman. Aurora Hayes, you're the one who was engaging in illicit affairs with these men. Why did you swap your face for mine? I took another USB drive from my bag. This contains the original photos. Since you claim I fabricated this, why don't we invite a professional to examine it and see who's really lying? Tiffany Hayes' face turned ashen. She clutched Nathaniel Blackwood's arm, sobbing. Nathaniel, Aurora Hayes prepared these photos just to humiliate me. Even if these photos are fake, I don't want anyone to see them. Nathaniel Blackwood's heart ached. He pulled her into his embrace, then looked up at me, his gaze icy. Aurora Hayes, do you think I'll agree to marry you if you ruin Tiffany's reputation? If so, you are gravely mistaken. I would join a monastery before I marry you. Mrs. Hayes said you're the one with the promiscuous lifestyle. Don't make a spectacle of yourself here. I snorted coldly. Tiffany Hayes, do you dare to come with me to the hospital for a checkup and see who's actually the one with the illness? Tiffany Hayes' breath hitched, and her fingers unconsciously tightened. Before she could answer, Nathaniel Blackwood directly called for the family doctor. Aurora Hayes, you truly won't give up until you hit rock bottom. Today, I'll make you give up completely. Amidst Tiffany Hayes' panic, I first followed the female doctor into the resting room for a checkup. 10 minutes later, the female doctor shook her head at Nathaniel Blackwood. I looked at Tiffany Hayes, who was hiding behind Nathaniel Blackwood. Tiffany Hayes, it's your turn now. Her face flushed red. I can't do a checkup, because I'm already pregnant with Nathaniel's child. The moment she finished speaking, I feigned surprise, covering my mouth. The Blackwood family/estate and I only finalized our engagement 7 days ago. Now you're saying you're pregnant? Don't tell me you two were already secretly involved. If you had told me you were with Nathaniel Blackwood earlier, I wouldn't have agreed to the alliance. And Nathaniel Blackwood, you were clearly already with my sister, so why did you still agree to marry me? The expressions on the guests' faces were even more spectacular. It seems Aurora Hayes was the one who was used. From the very beginning, Tiffany Hayes was the one who wanted to marry into the Blackwood family/estate. Oh my God, Aurora Hayes is truly pitiful. If I were Aurora Hayes, yes, I'd also come and make a scene at the wedding. Nathaniel Blackwood, however, was unfazed. He carefully wrapped his arm around her waist. Tiffany, didn't you say we shouldn't announce it for the first 3 months? Eleanor Blackwood's chest heaved violently with anger as she pointed at Nathaniel Blackwood and cursed. Your father and I will never acknowledge the child in Tiffany Hayes' belly. No matter what, you must marry Aurora. Without Aurora, you won't even live to see the day that child is born. Nathaniel, we are your Mr. and Mrs. Hayes. How could we harm you? Just listen to us this once. Nathaniel Blackwood's face darkened. Tiffany is already pregnant with my child. If I don't marry her, how will she survive in Emerald City? I can't let a Blackwood family/estate descendant be left destitute. Aren't you just trying to use Aurora Hayes' body to lift the curse? Fine, let her be my mistress. Hearing this, Tiffany Hayes' face instantly fell. Aurora Hayes is my nominal sister, after all. Once you marry me, you'll be my husband. How can you propose she be your mistress right in front of me? Didn't you say the curse was all fake? Nathaniel Blackwood looked at me with cold eyes. I find her repulsive, so of course I wouldn't want to touch her. But isn't she relentlessly pursuing me, wanting to offer herself? His shamelessness made me laugh in anger. You're not worthy enough for me to be your mistress. Eleanor Blackwood, Arthur Blackwood, since everything has been made clear, let the wedding continue. I won't bother you all anymore. I placed the USB drive I was holding on the wine table and a slight smile curved my lips. As for this wedding gift, Mr. Blackwood, please take it back and watch it carefully. With that, I took my bag and turned to leave. Behind me, Tiffany Hayes and Mr. and Mrs. Hayes's furious shouts rang out. Aurora Hayes, if you leave today, don't ever come back. We don't acknowledge you as our daughter. Don't think you can incite discord between Nathaniel and me. He won't believe you at all. I ignored them, walking away without looking back. That evening, Tiffany Hayes sent me a provocative text message. Aurora Hayes, you're truly pathetic. Your birth parents only favor me, and even your fiancé insists on marrying no one but me. What's the point of living? And all the bridal gift and commercial properties worth millions that the Blackwood family/estate gave you, Nathaniel Blackwood has already transferred them all to me. Mr. and Mrs. Hayes have also cut off your allowance. You're a penniless pauper now. If you beg me, perhaps I'll consider giving you some living expenses. Reading her provocative text message, I could imagine her triumphant expression. I looked up at the man who walked out of the bathroom and asked, Ethan Blackwood, someone said I'm a penniless pauper now. What should I do? Ethan Blackwood smiled and handed me all his cards. Miss you, you saved my life. My person and my money are all yours. Just as I was about to speak, the clock on the wall struck midnight. The next second, I received a call from Nathaniel Blackwood. His voice was incredibly weak. Aurora Hayes, please, save me. Tiffany Hayes's scream immediately followed from the other end of the line. Nathaniel, why has your face turned so pale? Don't scare me. Nathaniel Blackwood struggled to hold on to his last breath and spoke. I believe the curse is real now. Aurora Hayes, only you can save me. Come to the Blackwood family/estate immediately. Then, the line went silent. Ethan Blackwood turned his head to look at me. Are you going to the Blackwood family/estate? But you've already saved me. You won't be able to save him if you go. I curved my lips into a smile. Of course I'm going. The Blackwood family/estate must be quite lively right now. I'll go with you. Watching Ethan Blackwood go to get dressed, I felt a little surprised. Ethan Blackwood's father and Arthur Blackwood were blood brothers, but 30 years ago, a business dispute caused a rift between them, leading to a family division. The two families had long since sworn never to associate with each other again. Noticing the confusion in my eyes, Ethan Blackwood smiled and gently ruffled my hair. Aurora, as your husband, I naturally have a duty to protect you. After all, I wouldn't want any other man coveting my wife. Hearing his words, my cheeks immediately flushed hot. After I left the Blackwood family/estate earlier that day, I encountered Ethan Blackwood, who had been waiting for me at the entrance. He proposed to me, offering his entire family fortune as a bridal gift. Seeing the sincerity in his eyes, I nodded in agreement, and we then went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register our marriage. As soon as the car stopped at the entrance of the Blackwood family/estate, Eleanor Blackwood rushed over, pulled open the door, and led me to see Nathaniel Blackwood. Aurora, you're the only one who can save Nathaniel now. Name any price, and we, the Blackwood family/estate, will agree to it if it's within our means. The room was filled with medical equipment. 2 doctors stood grimly by Nathaniel Blackwood's bedside. Eleanor Blackwood, Mr. Blackwood's body shows no abnormalities, but his pulse is steadily weakening. We've already given Mr. Blackwood medication. He should be able to hold on for about 3 more days. Arthur Blackwood paced back and forth frantically. Where is Aurora Hayes? Didn't Nathaniel say he had already called her? Nathaniel Blackwood struggled to lift his head and look towards the door. The moment he saw me, a flicker of surprise appeared in his eyes. Aurora, you came. I knew you'd be willing to save me. As long as you spend a night with me and help me lift the curse, I won't die. Eleanor Blackwood quickly pushed me towards him. Nathaniel, Aurora is here. You're saved. Tiffany Hayes, who was guarding the bedside, stared with wide, disbelieving eyes and unconsciously blurted out. How is this possible? Is there a mistake? Didn't you say the Blackwood family/estate's curse was just a rumor, all fake? Dad, Mom, don't fall for Aurora Hayes's trick. Eleanor Blackwood angrily slapped Tiffany Hayes across the face. How dare you speak? If you hadn't shamelessly seduced Nathaniel, would he have been ruined like this by you? We, the Blackwood family/estate, do not acknowledge the wedding held today. Anyway, you two didn't even register your marriage. Our Blackwood family/estate only recognizes Aurora as our daughter-in-law. Tiffany Hayes covered her red and swollen face, looking pitifully at Nathaniel Blackwood. Nathaniel, Mom actually hit me for that slut Aurora Hayes. I can't stand this humiliation. You must stand up for me. But Nathaniel Blackwood now only had eyes for me. He pleaded with me in a low voice. Aurora Hayes, I know I was wrong. I promise you, once you're ready, I'll hold another wedding for you and make you the mistress of the Blackwood family/estate. I'll make sure Tiffany and the child live elsewhere and won't bother you. Nathaniel Blackwood, isn't it inappropriate to talk about marrying my wife right in front of me? Ethan Blackwood pushed past the bodyguard blocking his way and strode inside. Everyone was stunned by the sudden appearance of the stranger, until Arthur Blackwood recognized his identity. Ethan Blackwood, what are you doing here? You're not welcome here. Hearing this, everyone realized that the newcomer was the eldest son of the second master of the Blackwood family, a collateral branch. I looked at Ethan Blackwood's hand resting on my shoulder, as if staking his claim. A hint of a smile touched my eyes. Nathaniel Blackwood Sta. Read intensely at his hand resting on my shoulder, panting heavily in anger. What do you mean? Aurora Hayes, don't tell me the wife Ethan Blackwood is talking about is you? Just as I was about to speak, Ethan Blackwood answered first. That's right, Aurora and I have already registered our marriage. We are legally married now. Don't forget I also carry the Blackwood name, and I'm equally bound by the Blackwood family/estate's curse. Eleanor Blackwood's face paled, her eyes reddening with urgency. Ethan Blackwood, you're a year younger than Nathaniel. You still have time to find another woman with a unique spiritual resonance, but Nathaniel won't live past these next few days. As long as you're willing to divorce Aurora and give her to Nathaniel, name any condition you wish. Your uncle and I will do our best to satisfy you. Everyone present stared at Ethan Blackwood and me. I had already anticipated this scene the moment I was reborn. If Nathaniel Blackwood didn't marry me, he would surely die. But the Blackwood family/estate would certainly do everything in their power to make me save Nathaniel Blackwood. I just didn't expect that even though I was already married, they still wouldn't let me go. Nathaniel Blackwood looked at me. Aurora Hayes, since you came, you can definitely save me. Seeing the pleading in his eyes, I shook my head. Nathaniel Blackwood, it's not that I don't want to save you. It's that I can't save you anymore. Arthur Blackwood walked quickly towards me. How can you not save him? As long as you, mid-sentence, he suddenly paused, his gaze falling on the red mark on my neck. You and Ethan Blackwood have already been intimate? Once a woman with a unique spiritual resonance helps a Blackwood family/estate member lift the curse, she loses her unique spiritual resonance. Ethan Blackwood immediately raised his hand to cover my neck. Today is Aurora's and my wedding night. What's so strange about that? However, Nathaniel Blackwood, what do you mean by calling my wife late at night, asking her to come save your life? I watched the anger in Nathaniel Blackwood's eyes, a slight smile curving my lips. Mr. Blackwood, today at the wedding, you personally said it would be worth dying for to marry Tiffany Hayes. Why are you suddenly unwilling now? You, consumed by rage, Nathaniel Blackwood coughed violently and then vomited a pool of blood. Eleanor Blackwood collapsed onto the ground in despair, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. It's over, it's completely over. We've been searching for so long and only found Aurora Hayes, this one woman with a unique spiritual resonance. Where are we supposed to find someone now? It's all because of that slut Tiffany Hayes, it's all your fault. With that, she scrambled to her feet and went to hit Tiffany Hayes. Tiffany Hayes covered her head, fleeing everywhere, still calling out Nathaniel Blackwood's name. Nathaniel, you'll definitely be fine. I'll call home right now and have them get you the best specialists. They'll definitely cure your illness. But only Nathaniel Blackwood knew that this time, he was truly beyond saving. Amidst the chaos, Ethan Blackwood suddenly spoke up. Nathaniel Blackwood doesn't have to just wait for death. There's still one way, but what? Ethan Blackwood, hurry up and tell us what method you have. Arthur Blackwood was so anxious he wished he could pry open Ethan Blackwood's mouth to make him speak. As long as you can save Nathaniel, whatever conditions you name, we will agree to them. A hint of sarcasm flashed in Ethan Blackwood's eyes as he calmly continued to speak. Arthur Blackwood, the ancestors received this curse because they desecrated the tomb of the Princess of Ethelgard 100 years ago. As long as Nathaniel Blackwood personally kneels before the Princess of Ethelgard's remains for an entire night to atone for their sins, while it won't lift the curse, it can at least save his life, giving you time to continue searching for a woman with a unique spiritual resonance for him to marry. Eleanor Blackwood agreed without a second thought. Where are the Princess of Ethelgard's remains? Let's go immediately. A hesitant expression appeared on Arthur Blackwood's face. They were sent to the National Museum of Antiquities long ago, but to make Nathaniel kneel before her, Nathaniel Blackwood gritted his teeth in anger. Make me kneel before a corpse all night and apologize to her? This must be a fabricated lie by Ethan Blackwood to humiliate me. I don't believe it, and I won't fall for it. Eleanor Blackwood urgently grabbed his hand and pleaded. Nathaniel, don't throw a tantrum now. We have no other choice but to believe him. Ethan Blackwood glanced at his wristwatch. If you drag this on any longer, we'll run out of time. Arthur Blackwood, quickly pull some strings and get Nathaniel Blackwood over there. I've told you the method. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. With that, he put his arm around my shoulder and led me away. Just as we reached the entrance, Nathaniel Blackwood's furious roar came from behind us. Aurora Hayes, how cruel you are. You knew this would kill me, yet you still married someone else. How dare you? I turned back to look at him. Nathaniel Blackwood, no matter how cruel I am, I never personally burned you to death. Hearing my words, he froze. At the wedding, he merely thought I was different from my previous life. He never imagined that I, too, had been reborn like him. So you did this on purpose, Aurora Hayes? You deliberately sought revenge on me. I ignored him and left with Ethan Blackwood. Just as we reached the Blackwood family/estate's main gate, preparing to get into the car, we encountered Mr. and Mrs. Hayes, who rushed over in a panic after hearing the news. Before I could react, Mom stepped forward and slapped me across the face. Aurora Hayes, you caused a scene at the wedding today, and we haven't even had a chance to settle scores with you yet. How dare you come to the Blackwood family/estate to steal a man from Tiffany? Have you gone mad? I wish we had never brought you back from outside. You don't have a trace of a refined young lady about you, only knowing how to bring shame upon the family. You couldn't compare to Tiffany in any way. Ethan Blackwood quickly checked my face, and after confirming I was fine, he turned to confront them. I grabbed his arm, looking coldly at my birth parents before me. You were the ones who forced me to agree to the alliance with the Blackwood family/estate, then you secretly had Tiffany Hayes take my place, and shifted all the blame onto me. In the 2 years since I returned to the Hayes residence/family, have you ever truly treated me as your daughter? Tiffany Hayes framed me so many times. If only you had been willing to investigate just once, you would have recognized her true nature long ago. Since you only acknowledge Tiffany Hayes as your daughter, then let's sever ties. With that, Mom raised her hand to hit me again. This time, I dodged. Dad supported Mom, preventing her from falling, and glared at me furiously. Aurora Hayes, remember what you said today. From now on, we'll pretend we don't have a daughter like you. I pulled Ethan Blackwood's arm and got into the car, driving away without looking back. Ethan Blackwood reached out and pulled me into his embrace to comfort me. Aurora, if you're sad, just cry it out. You still have me. I cried and laughed at the same time in the car. I'm not sad because of them, I'm incredibly happy. I've finally completely broken free from the Hayes residence/family. Meanwhile, the Blackwood family/estate members took Natha, Neil Blackwood and Tiffany Hayes to the National Museum of Antiquities. Arthur Blackwood had pulled some strings beforehand and made arrangements with the National Museum of Antiquities curator, guaranteeing they would leave before dawn. Only then did the curator nod and allow them in. Originally, only Nathaniel Blackwood was required to spend the night. However, Mrs. Yu feared he might suffer an accident, so she had Tiffany Hayes go in with him to look after him. Nathaniel Blackwood knelt before the Princess of Ethelgard's remains as required, continuously apologizing on behalf of his ancestors. Halfway through, he became terribly thirsty. "Tiffany, I'm thirsty. Get me a bottle of water." However, Tiffany Hayes, who was beside him, had long since laid down on the padded mat, her eyes closed in rest. Hearing Nathaniel Blackwood's voice, she pulled the blanket tighter around her. "Nathaniel, I'm scared. Get the water yourself. I'm pregnant with a baby, and corpses definitely carry negative energy, which isn't good for my health." Watching Tiffany Hayes's indifferent manner, a wave of regret suddenly washed over Nathaniel Blackwood. If he hadn't insisted on marrying Tiffany Hayes, I would have already helped him lift the family curse. Nor would he have to drag his half-dead body in the middle of the night, kneeling before a corpse and continuously apologizing. If only he had married me, he wouldn't have had to endure all this torment. In that instant, scenes from his previous life with me suddenly appeared in his mind. After our wedding night, I personally cooked him breakfast. Yet he threw the food from the plate to the dogs, scoffing at me. "Do you think I'll accept you just because you do these things to please me? Let me tell you, I'll never fall in love with you in this lifetime." With that, he ordered his bodyguards to forcibly make me take birth control pills. Aurora Hayes, no one but Tiffany can carry my child. I had an allergic reaction to the birth control pills and collapsed, foaming at the mouth. He still stepped over me without a change in expression, even stopping the servants around him from taking me to the hospital. Before leaving, he glared at me viciously. "Aurora Hayes, stop acting. If you have the guts, then die here." But when he returned home that evening and learned I was being rushed to the hospital, he felt no remorse at all, convinced that everyone was playing along with my act. After being discharged from the hospital, I returned home. Not only did I not receive his comfort, but I also found him and Tiffany Hayes being intimate on our bed. I could no longer tolerate it and asked him for a divorce. "Nathaniel Blackwood, I've already helped you break the curse. Let's part ways amicably." Yet he put one arm around Tiffany Hayes and pointed at me with the other, saying sarcastically, "Aurora Hayes, what kind of playing hard to get tactic are you trying now? The curse is just a rumor. Do you really think you're my savior? Let me tell you, the Blackwood family/estate is not somewhere you can just enter and leave as you please." Later, Tiffany Hayes committed suicide. He saw the suicide note Tiffany Hayes left, and consumed by hatred, he set me on fire and burned me alive. Only now did he realize that he had always been the one in the wrong. I was the one who sacrificed my own happiness to save him, yet he killed me with his own hands. At this moment, tears of remorse streamed from his eyes. "Aurora, I'm sorry. I truly know I was wrong." The next morning, Ethan Blackwood received a call from Arthur Blackwood. He said Nathaniel Blackwood had returned and hoped Ethan Blackwood could come to the Blackwood family/estate to confirm the curse's alleviation. As soon as we reached the entrance, we heard the doctor's sighs from inside. "Mr. Blackwood's life has been saved, but the damage to his body is irreversible. It's likely Mr. Blackwood will find it very difficult to have children in the future." Arthur Blackwood hung his head in silence. Eleanor Blackwood, however, merely froze for a moment before offering comfort. "Isn't Tiffany Hayes already pregnant? As long as it's Nathaniel's child, whether it's a girl or a boy, they will be the Blackwood family/estate's heir." Hearing this, Tiffany Hayes, who was nearby, instantly broke into a wide smile. "Dad, Mom, please rest assured. Nathaniel's and my child will be born safely, and you can just peacefully wait to become grandparents." Nathaniel Blackwood looked at Tiffany Hayes's belly, a thoughtful expression on his face. Watching Tiffany Hayes's proud demeanor, I covered my mouth and chuckled. "Tiffany Hayes, are you sure you can make Arthur Blackwood and Eleanor Blackwood grandparents?" What do you mean by that? Eleanor Blackwood's face hardened. Aurora Hayes, it's bad enough you refused to save Nathaniel. Now you dare to curse Nathaniel's child on the Blackwood family/estate's property? Seeing she had support, Tiffany Hayes immediately feigned a wronged expression. Sister, I know you hate me, but the child in my belly is innocent. How can you say such things about Nathaniel's and my child? I couldn't be bothered to argue with them. I looked up at Nathaniel Blackwood. Nathaniel Blackwood, haven't you seen the wedding gift I gave you yet? The USB drive contains an unexpected secret. But if you don't care, you can also pretend to know nothing. Before Nathaniel Blackwood could speak, Tiffany Hayes rushed frantically towards me. The USB drive must contain forged things to slander me. How could you be so malicious? You were the one who didn't want to marry Nathaniel and begged me to take your place, and now you want to ruin me? You're already married to Ethan Blackwood. Why are you still trying to destroy Nathaniel's and my relationship? If you dare to talk nonsense in front of me again, I swear I'll rip your mouth apart. Ethan Blackwood stepped forward to block me, shielding me behind him. Tiffany Hayes, if you dare to harm Aurora, never mind your mouth, I'll even tear apart the child in your belly. Seeing the ruthlessness in Ethan Blackwood's eyes, Tiffany Hayes flinched back in fear. She clutched Nathaniel Blackwood's arm, her face full of grievance, crying out in complaint. Nathaniel, look at them! They're bullying me and our baby. Why aren't you avenging us immediately? Nathaniel Blackwood's gaze shifted from Tiffany Hayes's belly to her face, and he slowly spoke. Since you're so afraid of what's on the USB drive, why don't we see what's actually inside? Tiffany, get the USB drive. Tiffany Hayes's face flushed red. I already threw the USB drive away. I don't want anything from Aurora Hayes. A hint of sarcasm curved Nathaniel Blackwood's lips. Did you truly lose it, or did you deliberately destroy it? Before she could explain, Nathaniel Blackwood's assistant walked in, carrying a laptop with the missing USB drive plugged into it. Tiffany, I forgot to tell you, I had someone restore the USB drive. I'm very curious about what's inside. Tiffany Hayes didn't have time to stop it. The images were already displayed on the laptop screen. Eleanor Blackwood shrieked in horror at the sight of the images on the screen. Tiffany Hayes, what good deeds have you been up to? The screen displayed videos of Tiffany Hayes with her various lovers. These were complimentary gifts I received when I paid a hefty sum for the photos. Each video had detailed dates and times. I feigned concern and looked at Nathaniel Blackwood. Based on Tiffany Hayes's pregnancy timeline, the child in her belly might not be yours, you know. Nathaniel Blackwood's face was contorted with fury. He grabbed Tiffany Hayes by the throat. You have some nerve. Why? Oh, you've been cheating on me behind my back so many times. Whether the child in your belly is mine or not, I don't want it. Someone as dirty as you doesn't deserve to carry my child. Guards, take her to the hospital and get rid of the baby for me. No matter how Tiffany Hayes pleaded and explained, Nathaniel Blackwood showed not a trace of softness. Mrs. Yu, however, clung to a last sliver of hope and followed them to the hospital, demanding a non-invasive paternity test before the abortion. But the result was obvious. The child was not Nathaniel Blackwood's. At the hospital, Tiffany Hayes seized the opportunity while the doctor was preparing instruments and ran straight back to the Hayes residence/family. The next day, Mr. and Mrs. Hayes brought Tiffany Hayes to the Blackwood family/estate to demand an explanation. Does your Blackwood family/estate really bully people like this? The wedding was so grand, and now you're breaking off the engagement. How will our Tiffany ever get married in the future? Eleanor Blackwood didn't even let them through the door. How dare you speak like that? Your own adopted daughter is promiscuous, cavorting with so many men, and you tried to marry her off while she was pregnant with a wild man's child. Tiffany Hayes stood with her hands on her hips, looking completely justified. So what? Isn't Nathaniel Blackwood impotent now? I would have given your Blackwood family/estate a child for nothing. You're the ones who got the better deal. Besides me, who else would be willing to marry Nathaniel Blackwood? Nathaniel Blackwood glared at her viciously. If you hadn't seduced me, how could I have ever touched you? I should have married Aurora Hayes. I was blind to fall for a despicable woman like you. You ruined me like this, and I haven't even settled scores with you yet, and you dare to show up at my doorstep? From now on, the Hayes residence/family can forget about establishing yourself in Emerald City. Not a single one of you Hayes will come to a good end. With that, both sides immediately started fighting. Nathaniel Blackwood struck mercilessly, grabbing Tiffany Hayes by the hair and slamming her to the ground. It wasn't until Tiffany Hayes's lower body was stained with blood that everyone stopped, frantically rushing Tiffany Hayes to the hospital. Tiffany Hayes's child was not saved. Her brain suffered severe damage, turning her into a simpleton. Nathaniel Blackwood was consequently sued by the Hayes residence/family. The Hayes residence/family and the Blackwood family/estate remained embroiled in this lawsuit, with neither side willing to yield. A month later, Ethan Blackwood held a grand wedding ceremony for me to make up for the previous one. In front of everyone, he personally placed the diamond ring on my finger. Aurora, thank you for choosing me. I promise you, I will forever cherish and care for you, loving you for a lifetime. I nodded with a smile and placed the wedding ring on his finger as well. As we embraced and kissed, I noticed Nathaniel Blackwood, who had been hiding in the crowd, quietly leaving. His retreating figure was lonely and desolate. 7 days later, Nathaniel Blackwood committed suicide. Ethan Blackwood handed me a letter. Aurora, this is from Nathaniel Blackwood, left for you. Take a look. I expressionlessly threw the letter into the trash can. Just an insignificant person. Not long after, Arthur Blackwood and Eleanor Blackwood found Ethan Blackwood and transferred all their properties to him, stating that the Blackwood family/estate's assets could not fall into the hands of outsiders. 6 months later, Mr. and Mrs. Hayes suddenly contacted me, giving me all the Hayes residence/family's domestic properties. They were taking Tiffany Hayes abroad for medical treatment. Aurora, we are truly sorry for what we did to you, for letting Tiffany do so, man. Why things to harm you? But Tiffany is, after all, the child we raised, and we can't just abandon her. I didn't refuse. I accepted everything. This was what the Hayes residence/family owed me. Ethan Blackwood watched me organizing my assets, smiling indulgently. My dearest treasure seeker, I will definitely work hard to earn more money and make you even richer. I smiled and gave him a kiss on the cheek. This was truly my ending.